Have you ever found yourself in a situation where someone seems to have the upper hand? A person who knows exactly what to say and do to bend others to their will? You might have experienced this in work environments, relationships, or even in your personal circles. Manipulation is everywhere, and it's not always as obvious as we might think. But here's the truth. Manipulators rely on certain predictable tactics, and once you recognize them, you can not only defend yourself but actually turn their own tactics against them. In this video, we'll be deconstructing the manipulator's mind, breaking down their strategies and showing you exactly how you can use psychological tools to flip the script. The goal? To turn the power dynamic in your favor and stop being the target of their manipulation. Manipulation is about control over your actions, your thoughts, and sometimes even your emotions. A manipulator plays on your weak spots, your insecurities, and your natural instincts to be polite, agreeable, or accommodating. But what if I told you that you don't have to be a passive participant in their game? What if I showed you how to recognize these tactics early and dismantle them with your own strategy? This isn't just about recognizing manipulative behavior. It's about empowering yourself to take control of the situation. Manipulators thrive on your confusion, your lack of boundaries, and your inability to read the subtle cues. Once you're aware of these tactics, you can step outside the cycle and take back control. But let's be clear, this isn't about becoming manipulative yourself. It's about becoming strategic. In this video, we'll teach you how to turn their own games back on them without becoming the villain. The power lies in your ability to remain calm, confident, and aware, and use their tactics to your advantage. The first step, recognizing manipulative behavior. Before we dive into the tactical strategies, we first need to understand the most common manipulative techniques used by manipulators. These behaviors can range from subtle remarks to bold demands, but they all have one thing in common. They redesign to make you question your own judgment so the manipulator can gain an advantage. Let's start by identifying the signs of manipulation. Stay tuned as we reveal the first manipulative tactic that you're likely encountering more often than you realize. Once you spot it, you'll be able to disarm it, using your own countermove. So let's dive in and unmask the manipulator in your life. In order to defend yourself against manipulation, you first need to understand the tools that manipulators use to gain control. These are psychological tactics that can range from guilt-tripping to gaslighting, but they all serve a singular purpose, to make you doubt your own judgment and yield control. Let's take a look at some of the most common manipulative tactics, and how you can start spotting them before they catch you off guard. 1. Gaslighting. Making you question your reality. One of the most insidious and common tactics used by manipulators is gaslighting. Gaslighting is when someone makes you doubt your perceptions, memories, or sanity. They twist your reality, often leaving you feeling confused, anxious, and uncertain of your own mind. You might hear phrases like, "You're overreacting. That didn't happen the way you remember it. Are you sure?" Maybe you're imagining things. A gaslighter wants to rewrite your version of events and make you question yourself. The purpose? To weaken your sense of self and make you more reliant on their version of reality. This tactic can slowly chip away at your confidence and decision-making ability, leaving you unable to trust your own perceptions. How to spot it? They dismiss your feelings or opinions as crazy or irrational. They deny things they said or did, even when you have evidence to the contrary. You constantly feel like you're walking on eggshells around them, second-guessing yourself. How to turn the tactic around? Trust your instincts and stick to your reality. If possible, document conversations and situations where you being gaslit. Keeping a record helps you remember details and proves your point when the manipulator tries to rewrite history. Stay calm and composed when challenged. Don't engage emotionally. Instead, state your perspective confidently and assertively. For example, you could say, "I understand you see it differently, but I remember it clearly." This stance forces them to confront their manipulation without drawing you into their web of confusion. 2. Guilt tripping, making you feel responsible for their feelings. Another classic tactic used by manipulators is guilt tripping. This is when someone tries to make you feel responsible for their emotional state, manipulating you into taking actions you wouldn't normally agree to just to relieve their discomfort. They might say things like, "I can't believe you redoing this to me after everything I've had done for you. You're really going to leave me like this after all I've sacrificed? I thought you cared about me." By using guilt, manipulators pressure you into feeling responsible for their happiness and needing to accommodate their feelings. This creates a power imbalance where you feel compelled to do things you don't want to do to ease their emotions. How to spot it? You feel like you're walking on eggshells to avoid upsetting them. They turn the situation back on you, making it about how their feelings are hurt instead of addressing the issue at hand. You feel obligated to say yes or to act in a way that isn't aligned with your interests or values, just to avoid feeling guilty. How to turn the tactic around? Acknowledge your feelings first. When someone tries to guilt trip you, pause and focus on your own emotions. Take a step back and think about what you want, not just what they want. Set clear boundaries. It's okay to say, "I understand that you're upset, but I'm not responsible for your emotions. I need to do what's best for me right now." Don't give in to emotional blackmail. The more you give in to guilt tripping, the more they will use it. Stand firm in your decision-making and remember that you are not responsible for other people's happiness. 3. Love bombing, overwhelming you with affection to gain control. Love bombing is often used in romantic relationships, but can also appear in friendships and professional situations. It's when someone showers you with excessive affection, compliments, or attention, especially at the beginning of a relationship or situation, in order to gain your trust and compliance. The goal is to create emotional dependency so that you feel compelled to reciprocate and keep meeting their needs. For example, they might give you constant compliments or shower you with gifts. Always be there, acting like your biggest cheerleader, saying they understand you better than anyone else. Make you feel like you read the center of their world until they start asking for favors or pushing boundaries. How to spot it? The affection feels too intense or rushed. They expect to be prioritized immediately in your life, even if you've just met or have a minimal history together. They might demand constant attention and become upset if they feel neglected, even if the relationship is new or casual. How to turn the tactic around? Recognize the pattern. Genuine relationships take time to develop and shouldn't feel overwhelming or rushed. Don't get swept up in the fantasy. If someone is bombarding you with affection or praise, slow things down and observe their actions over time. Are they acting in ways that show true care and consistency? Set boundaries early. If someone is pushing for too much too soon, kindly set limits. Take control by maintaining a sense of your own space and independence. 4. The victim card, playing the martyr to gain sympathy. Another tactic manipulators love to use is playing the victim. They exaggerate their struggles or misfortunes in an effort to make you feel sorry for them. By making themselves out to be the martyr, they gain sympathy and manipulate your emotions into giving them what they want. For instance, they may say things like, "Nobody cares about me. I'm always the one left behind. I always do everything for everyone, but nobody appreciates me. Why does this always happen to me? I can't take it anymore." How to spot it? They continuously talk about their hardships, seeking sympathy. They often frame the situation as everyone else's fault and make you feel like you need to help them, even when they haven't asked directly. You feel guilty or compelled to help, even though they haven't asked for specific help. How to turn the tactic around? Don't fall for guilt-driven pleas. Instead of feeling obligated to help them, ask yourself, is this situation really my responsibility? Encourage them to take responsibility for their own problems rather than stepping in and solving everything for them. For example, "It sounds like you're going through a lot, but I think you have the strength to handle this on your own." Don't let them guilt trip you into actions. If they're playing the victim card, remain calm and resist the urge to rush in and save them. Empower them to handle their own issues. Now that you can spot manipulation, it's time for the real shift, turning their own tactics against them without becoming manipulative yourself. This is where most people fail. They either freeze, over-explain, or emotionally react. All three give the manipulator exactly what they want: control. Your goal is not to attack. Your goal is to reverse the power dynamic. Manipulators rely on one assumption, that you will play your assigned role: the guilty one, the confused one, the rescuer, the apologetic one. The moment you stop playing that role, the entire system collapses. Let's break down how this works. 1. Use strategic calm to break their script. Manipulators thrive on emotional reactions. Anger, guilt, fear, confusion, these are their fuel. When you react emotionally, you confirm that they still have influence over you. Your first countermove is strategic calm. When they provoke, accuse, guilt trip, or gaslight, your calm response creates a psychological rupture. They expect resistance or submission, not neutrality. Example: manipulator: "Why are you being so difficult?" "You always do this." "You? Interesting. What makes you see it that way?" That response does three things. It refuses guilt. It forces them to explain. It shifts the burden of justification back to them. Calm is not weakness. Calm is control. 2. Mirror their behavior without escalation. One of the most effective ways to disarm a manipulator is mirroring, not mocking, not attacking, but reflecting their behavior back to them in a neutral way. Manipulators hate mirrors because mirrors expose patterns. Example: manipulator: "You're too sensitive." "You? That's interesting. You seem very invested in how I react." Or, manipulator: "I guess I'm just the bad guy again." "You? That's your interpretation." "I didn't say that." By reflecting their language calmly, you remove emotional leverage, expose their tactic, force self-awareness, which they despise. You are not arguing. You are observing aloud. 3. Slow everything down. Manipulators rush conversations because speed prevents clarity. They overwhelm you so you can't think. Your counter strategy: slow the tempo. Speak slower. Pause longer. Answer less. When you slow the interaction, you regain cognitive control. They lose momentum. Their emotional manipulation becomes visible. Silence is especially powerful. When they push for a reaction and you pause, their anxiety spikes. They start revealing more than they intended. Silence turns their urgency into exposure. 4. Refuse the false choice. Manipulators often trap you with false dilemmas. Either you care or you don't. Either you help me or you're selfish. If you don't agree, you're against me. Your move is to reject the frame entirely. Example: manipulator: "So you're saying you don't care about me?" You: "I'm saying I'm choosing what is best for me right now." You don't defend. You don't justify. You redefine reality. Once you stop accepting their framing, their leverage disappears. 5. Make them explain their intentions. Manipulators survive in vagueness. They imply. They hint. They suggest. They never state directly, because clarity kills manipulation. Your weapon is direct clarification. Example: "What exactly are you asking for? What outcome are you expecting here? Can you be specific?" These questions force the manipulator out of the shadows and into the light. Once exposed, their tactics lose power. Manipulation cannot survive precision. 6. Detach from winning. Here's the paradox. The moment you stop trying to win the interaction, you win. Manipulators want emotional engagement. They want dominance. They want a reaction. When you detach emotionally, you become unpredictable, and unpredictability is power. You don't need to convince them. You don't need closure. You don't need agreement. You need clarity and boundaries. The most important realization is this: manipulators only succeed when you value peace over truth and approval over self-respect. The moment you prioritize clarity over comfort, the dynamic flips. They feel it. They sense it. They lose leverage. Now let's go deeper into how to set unbreakable boundaries that manipulators cannot bypass, and why boundaries, when enforced calmly, are more intimidating than confrontation. Stay with me. Now that you've begun to understand the importance of self-respect and how embodying it in your everyday actions can drastically change the way women treat you, let's talk about making these behaviors second nature. You see, it's one thing to understand the value of self-respect, but it's quite another to make it an ingrained part of your daily life. The key to transforming your interactions and relationships is consistency. It's about living out this self-respect every day so that over time it becomes a natural part of who you are. So, how do you make self-respect automatic? How do you turn these small, powerful actions into an effortless part of your personality? 1. Start by setting small, consistent goals. Change doesn't happen all at once. It's important to recognize that these shifts in your behavior need to be built over time. Start small. Each day, set a simple, actionable goal that reinforces the self-respect behaviors we've talked about. For example, start by working on your body language. Commit to standing taller and walking with more purpose for just a few minutes a day. This doesn't mean you need to overhaul your entire posture in one go. The idea is to build it gradually so that it becomes part of your natural stance over time. Next, set clear boundaries. Every day, practice saying no to things that don't align with your priorities. Start with small requests, whether it is declining a last-minute meeting or saying no to a favor you're not interested in. With time, you'll feel more comfortable setting boundaries and asserting your worth without hesitation. 2. Use affirmations to reinforce your self-worth. Another powerful way to reinforce self-respect is through affirmations. It may sound simple, but affirmations work because they are a tool to rewire your brain. Every day, speak positively to yourself, affirming your self-worth and your value. For example, start your day with a simple affirmation like, "I am worthy of respect and kindness," and "I carry myself with dignity." Repeat it a few times in front of a mirror or write it down. This daily practice will help cement the idea that you don't need to seek validation from others. You already know your worth. It may feel awkward at first, but over time, these words will shape how you feel about yourself. Affirmations will help reinforce your self-respect, making it a natural part of your mindset and behavior. 3. Surround yourself with positive reinforcement. You can't build a new habit in a vacuum. To make self-respect second nature, it's crucial to surround yourself with people who also respect themselves and the boundaries of others. When you interact with people who value themselves, it reinforces your own belief in your worth. The energy around you can be a catalyst for change. Seek out relationships that support your growth. These could be friends, mentors, or colleagues who demonstrate strength, emotional intelligence, and a sense of calm. Watch how they respond in difficult situations. They likely practice many of the same stoic principles we've discussed. Being around people who respect themselves will motivate you to do the same. If you find yourself surrounded by people who constantly undermine your value, it's time to assess your social circle. Your environment plays a critical role in shaping your behavior and mindset. 4. Create a routine of self-care and reflection. Self-respect isn't just about what you do in the heat of the moment. It's also about taking care of yourself when no one else is watching. Routine self-care is an essential element of living with self-respect. This could mean physical care like exercising, eating well, and getting enough rest, or mental care such as journaling or meditation. Take time at the end of each day to reflect on your actions. Ask yourself, did I act in a way that reflected my self-respect today? This practice of reflection allows you to stay accountable to yourself and helps you see how far you've come. You might even write down a few daily wins. I said no to a request that didn't align with my goals. I walked with confidence in the meeting today. These small moments of success, when acknowledged, reinforce your sense of self-worth and help you internalize these behaviors as part of who you are. Additionally, taking care of your mental health is a direct expression of self-respect. Regular reflection allows you to spot negative patterns or emotional triggers early, and it equips you to act more strategically when faced with difficult situations. 5. Gradually let go of people-pleasing tendencies. One of the most common signs that someone doesn't value themselves is the tendency to people-please, saying yes to things because you want others to like you or to avoid confrontation. This behavior undermines your self-respect because it sends the message that others' approval is more important than your own boundaries. To break the cycle of people-pleasing, here is the last trap most people fall into, and it is the one that keeps manipulators tethered to your life long after you think you've escaped. Closure. The need to explain. The need to be understood. The need for the manipulator to finally admit what they did. This desire feels healthy. It feels mature. It feels fair. But in reality, closure is the manipulator's final weapon. 1. Why manipulators never give real closure. Manipulators do not seek truth. They seek leverage. If they admit fault, they lose power. Validate your feelings, they lose control. Give you clarity, they lose access. So instead, they offer half apologies, circular conversations, emotional confusion. Let's talk about it later. This keeps you emotionally engaged. And engagement is control. The longer you seek closure, the longer they stay relevant in your mind. 2. The illusion of the final conversation. Many people believe, if I just explain myself one last time, they'll understand. They won't. That one last conversation is exactly what manipulators want. It reopens the door. It restarts the game. It gives them another chance to reframe the narrative, gaslight your memory, trigger guilt, reassert dominance. The truth is brutal but freeing. Closure does not come from them. It comes from your decision to disengage. 3. Why silence is the ultimate exit. Silence is not avoidance. Silence is finality without permission. When you stop responding, there is nothing to twist. Nothing to argue with. Nothing to control. Manipulators panic in silence because they can't access your emotions anymore. That panic often shows up as sudden kindness apologies that sound rehearsed, accusations meant to provoke a response. None of it is real change. It is withdrawal behavior. 4. How to remove a manipulator without drama. You do not announce your exit. You do not explain your reasons. You do not justify your absence. You simply respond less, share nothing personal, decline invitations calmly, stop feeding the dynamic. This is called emotional starvation. Without reaction, without information, without access, manipulation collapses. 5. The power of choosing yourself without permission. The final shift is internal. You stop asking, was I too harsh? Did I do the right thing? Should I explain? And start affirming, I don't need permission to protect my peace. I don't owe access to anyone who disrespects me. My clarity matters more than their comfort. This is where manipulation ends not with confrontation, but with self-respect. The greatest victory over a manipulator is not proving them wrong. It is becoming unreachable. When you no longer react, explain, or seek validation, you step out of this psychological reach entirely. Now let us close with how to rebuild trust in your own judgment after manipulation and how to ensure this never happens to you again. Stay with me. Once a manipulator is out of your life, the real work begins not with them, but within you. This is the part no one talks about. Manipulation doesn't just drain your energy. It damages your trust in your own judgment. You replay conversations. You question your instincts. You wonder how you didn't see it sooner. And if you're not careful, that self-doubt becomes the manipulator's final, lingering victory. This segment is about ending that influence completely. 1. Understand this first. You are not weak. You are human. Manipulators don't target fools. They target people with empathy, patience, and emotional depth. You didn't fall for manipulation because you were naive. You fell for it because you were capable of trust. That matters. The mistake is not trusting. It's ignoring your instincts when something feels off. And here's the key realization. Your instincts were right long before your logic caught up. Manipulators override intuition by creating confusion. Your job now is to reconnect with that intuition, not silence it. 2. Separate the lesson from the shame. One of the most damaging after effects of manipulation is shame. How did I let this happen? Why didn't I leave sooner? What does this say about me? Shame keeps you stuck. Instead, extract the lesson. What boundary was crossed? When did discomfort first appear? What behavior did you excuse? Growth begins when you observe without self-attack. You don't rebuild confidence by punishing yourself. You rebuild it by learning accurately. 3. Rebuild self-trust through small, decisive actions. Trust is rebuilt through action, not reflection alone. Start small. Say no when something feels wrong. End conversation sooner. Keep personal details private. Honor your discomfort without explanation. Each time you act in alignment with your intuition, you send your nervous system a message. I protect myself now. That message compounds. 4. Upgrade your standards, not your defenses. The goal is not to become guarded or suspicious. The goal is to become selective. Healthy people respect boundaries. Manipulators test them. From now on, consistency matters more than charm. Behavior matters more than words. Respect matters more than chemistry. You don't need armor. You need standards. 5. Why this never happens again. Here is the final truth. Manipulation only works on people who ignore themselves. Once you trust your perceptions, honor your limits, and detach from the need to be understood, manipulators lose access before they even begin. They sense it, they feel it, they move on. You are no longer available. You don't defeat manipulators by outsmarting them. You defeat them by becoming psychologically unavailable to manipulation itself. Clear mind, firm boundaries. No explanations. That's not cruelty. That's self-respect. And once you have it, no one can take it from you again. If this video sharpened your awareness, sit with it. Let it change how you move through the world. Control begins where confusion ends. This is where everything locks into place. Not when you recognize manipulation, not when you confront it, not even when you walk away. It ends when your internal posture changes. Manipulation stops working on you the moment you stop needing approval, validation, closure, emotional certainty from others. At that point, manipulators don't lose to you. They can't access you. 1. The most dangerous person is the one who doesn't need to win. Manipulators are obsessed with winning, with control, with reactions. You become dangerous when you no longer care about the outcome of the interaction. You don't need to prove that you're right, that they're wrong, that you were mistreated. You know the truth, and that's enough. When someone can't hook your emotions, they can't move you. Indifference, calm, grounded indifference is not weakness. It is freedom. 2. You stop explaining, start choosing. From this point forward, your life operates on a simple rule. If something requires you to betray your intuition, the answer is no. You don't announce decisions. You don't justify distance. You don't negotiate boundaries. You choose. And you let the world respond. This quiet decisiveness is what changes how people treat you. Not fear, not dominance, but self-trust. 3. Why manipulators instinctively avoid you now. Once you internalize everything in this video, something subtle but powerful happens. Your energy changes. You respond slower. You reveal less. You react less. You walk away sooner. Manipulators sense this immediately. They don't test you. They don't push. They look elsewhere. Because manipulation requires access, and you no longer give it. 4. The end of the cycle. This is the end of the cycle. No more confusion. No more emotional exhaustion. No more replaying conversations. No more self-doubt. You don't need to spot every tactic anymore. Your standards do that for you. Manipulators don't lose power when you fight them. They lose power when you stop being available. Not emotionally, not mentally, not psychologically. And once that happens, the game ends permanently. You don't escape manipulation. You outgrow it. That's real control.